The film starts by showing a couple who are both tourists. Among them, the girl's name was Haider, who had come to Australia with her group. But they slept for too long, so the group left them behind. Taking advantage of this, these two come to the seaside to take a shark cage experience. That means they would be put into a cage and dropped into the water to see sharks from very close. Now the man they went to was named Tucker, and he had given the name, Tucker Experience, to this shark experience. For the moment, he was not there, so they went to one of his companions who said, "Tucker wants to rest for a few days, so he won't take you for the experience." But just then Tucker himself arrives. He looked very enthusiastic. He said, "How can it be that I won't take you? I will definitely give you both the experience." After this, he seated them in the boat and went into the sea. He tells them, "In childhood I survived a shark attack. That means I was saved alive, and the marks are still on my body." Saying this, he also shows them the scars. He said, "From that very day, I developed a strange attachment with sharks." Hearing this, Haider says, "This job must be so difficult for you, I can understand. It must have been a very scary experience for you. You survived a shark attack and now you have to work among them. If it was someone else in your place, he would never even look at the sea again." To this Tucker said, No, there was no fault of the shark in it. Anyway, now he throws blood into the sea and puts both of them into the cage and drops it in the water, because of which many sharks come around them. And this is their shark cage experience, in which they enjoyed a lot by seeing the sharks so close. They were also happy that as long as humans don't thrash about or panic, the sharks also don't get angry or attack. Both come out of the water happily. After thanking Tucker, they were just about to leave, when suddenly he shows his true colors. Suddenly he stabs Haider's friend in the neck with a knife and throws him again into the water. Seeing this, Haider starts screaming loudly and calling for help. But in the middle of the sea, there was no one to hear their voice. And now Tucker also starts looking at her with a devilish smile. What Tucker did with her? For the time being, this is not shown and the scene shifts. This time we see an American girl who is the main character of the story, and her name is Zephyr. She surfs in the sea, running on the sea waves with the surfboard. After this she goes to the nearby gas station, where she meets a boy who was an agent. His car was not starting, so he needed help. Now Zephyr had a big camper van in which she lived, but still she was not ready to help him because she liked to stay away from people. But when that agent boy kept insisting again and again, she was forced to agree to help him. She makes him sit in her van to give him a lift. During this journey they talked so much that they started liking each other. Their friendship happened because both loved surfing very much. They wanted to spend more time together, so both stayed outside the boy's house in the van itself and spent good time together. Meanwhile, Zephyr's friend throws out the fins that are fixed on the surfboard. Now Zephyr's friend had become completely serious about this relationship. That's why he tells Zephyr, "We should stay together, because I feel we have met for some reason." But Zephyr's habit was different. She never wanted to stay in one place. She didn't even go inside his house. The boy alone goes inside the house to cook food, and by the time he comes back Zephyr had already left with the van, which broke his heart. Even then he kept remembering her. Zephyr goes straight to the beach for surfing. Now she needed fins for the surfboard, but her friend had thrown them away. So she starts looking for fins from the truck standing nearby. That truck was Tucker's, who also comes from behind now. He gives her the fins, but in talking he also tries to extract necessary information from her, like whether she is alone or with someone, because only after this he would make his next move. Just like he had made Haider and her friend reveal that their group had left them. But Zephyr doesn't answer his questions properly, so he gets irritated and takes his truck away. Just then Zephyr gets a message from that same friend who says, "We both should meet." Now Zephyr also wanted to call him, but suppressing her feelings, she refused. And this was her biggest mistake, because just then Tucker comes from behind, grabs her, and after making her unconscious, starts taking her with him. He had kept Zephyr in his vehicle. After a long journey, he puts her in a boat and himself goes into the sea. The next morning her friend also reaches there, but Zephyr was not visible anywhere. Only her van was parked. He calls her number, and the ringing also comes from inside the van. Actually, Tucker had shown cleverness here too. He had thrown the surfboard somewhere and kept the phone inside the van so that everyone would think Zephyr drowned and died. On the other side, when Zephyr regains consciousness, she finds herself in the lower room of the boat. Her mouth was taped and hands tied to the bed. On the next bed, Haider was also tied. Not understanding the situation, Zephyr started screaming loudly. But in the middle of the sea, no one was there to hear her. Haider also explains this to her. She tells her the entire story, how Tucker had killed her friend in front of her and brought her here. Just then Tucker arrives and tells Haider, "Now your turn has come." He drags her and ties her inside the cage, then drops her into the water. Zephyr was screaming loudly but helplessly watching. Haider, screaming, gets pulled deep into the sea inside the cage. And the sharks attack her, killing her brutally in front of Zephyr's eyes. Now Tucker comes back to Zephyr and says, "This is your fate as well." He starts to get close to her, but Zephyr with her intelligence pretends to be unconscious. He unties her to wake her up, and in that moment she attacks him. A big struggle takes place. She manages to break free and runs outside on the boat. She hides but Tucker again catches her. He injects something into her, due to which she faints. When Tucker started taking the boat toward the island, on the way his truck fell into the water, but he was very happy about this. Because now no evidence was left. After some time, bringing them, he reached the deserted island. Here he tied Zephyr's friend to the bed and took Zephyr toward the beach. But Zephyr was not giving up her hope. With great effort she unties herself. But because Tucker's eyes were on her, he again catches her and brings her toward the water. He wanted to put her inside a cage and drop it into the water. At the same time, Zephyr cleverly brings out the anger in Tucker. She tells him, "You say sharks are gods, right? Then call them here, let's see who is the real god, you or them." Hearing this, Tucker indeed pours blood in the water and lowers the cage along with Zephyr into the sea. Sharks also arrive there. Zephyr was completely trapped, but she doesn't give up. Using her strength she breaks one side of the cage and manages to escape from it. When Tucker saw this, he became furious. He himself dives into the water with a spear gun to kill her. But under the water, sharks were already circling. In that moment Zephyr manages to grab the spear gun from him and shoots Tucker. The shot wounds him badly. Blood spreads everywhere. The sharks, sensing the blood, immediately attack Tucker. In front of Zephyr's eyes, the same fate happens to Tucker that he used to make other innocent girls suffer. Sharks tear him apart alive. But Zephyr too was almost fainting, her body very weak, and she was unable to swim much. Just then a giant white shark appears from the depth of the sea. She thought, now this is the end. But surprisingly the shark doesn't attack her. It simply circles around her and then goes away into the deep water. Zephyr somehow manages to swim back to the surface and holds on to a broken piece of the boat. At that time a rescue boat arrives at the island. They pull her up safely. In the last scene we see Zephyr, tired, injured, and traumatized, but still alive. She looks at the endless sea with tears in her eyes, remembering Haider and her friend who died. Yet somewhere inside she felt relieved that Tucker, the monster, would never torture any girl again. And with this the movie ends.